will start off by saying, okay, so looking at the top meat and the dry, the top is actually top meat and dry are kind of like categories of how we categorize things. So it could be like boy, girl, man, and woman. There's a form or category that they fall into, and therefore they are considered top meat and dry. Okay, so in this case, the compound that has got the smallest molecule will be categorized in the top. It will be called top. Okay, so with this, what happens is that your brain actually registers the scent readily, and within the first 5 to 10 seconds, that's usually where your brain will actually register the ingredients for this compounds. Okay, so is the whole job of the top is really just to sway people's buying decision as well as luring people to make a decision to make a purchase. Let's put it that way. Okay, because we have also all got an experience whereby, say for example, a body wash, they come out with a new scent, right? And we just go to the supermarket, and what we'll do is we'll actually just open the cap, and we'll have a quick whiff of it, and that's where we will actually decide within the next 5 seconds whether we want to give this body wash a try, right? Do you have somewhat of a similar experience yourself?
First impression sort of thing.
Correct. So that's the role and job of the top. Okay, so we'll go to the extreme end of the other side, which we'll be talking about the dry. The dry is also known as bottom to some people. So with this, what happens is it actually has the largest chemical compound, the largest molecule. So with it, it also means that it is actually in charge of staying for that whole 3 to 5 hour duration, and that's just because it's so much less reactive than the top and the meat. So having said that, the dry, the purpose of the dry is to make sure the perfume is actually has the ability to last for longness lah. Okay, so now we have covered the top and the dry. What we actually want to talk about next is actually the meat. So the meat basically is really like a link bridge that links between the top and the dry to kind of give that consistent scent. From, let's say for example, after the first 15 seconds all the way to that 5 hour mark. I'm not sure whether you have this experience yourself. Sometimes when we go and to a departmental store and we have a quick smell of a perfume, initially it really smells really awesome, but as we continue to walk down the streets for the next 1-2 hours, what happens is we feel that the scent is a little different from what we expected.
Right.
Or like we don't really like the scent 1 hour, 2 hour later. So that's probably because the meat is not well constructed, or for the fact that the transition was not done properly from the top to the meat and then to the dry. So it's more of like a concept and philosophical. I'm not saying correct or wrong, because they are all big brands, so they definitely have their reasons for doing it. But I'm just saying that maybe as a consumer, we might not like the meat that well. So that's my way of showing that's when the meat comes in. So having said that, right, the top meat and dry will actually have to operate together in synergy, not as silos. So they're kind of like a pyramid per se, with of course the top part being the top, the meat being the middle, okay, and then the dry and the bottom being the foundation of the perfume, like a pyramid, as such. Yeah. Okay. So actually, this workshop today is really a very very hands-on one. So I just need you to really do everything for me, of course. Okay. So now that you have got your bottle, I'll just need you to uncap the dry bit of the bottle. Just uncap it, and you actually see this plastic bottle stopper in there. Okay, and I need you to remove the plastic stopper. Yeah. Okay, and I'm also sure that you have also received your pack of blotters, also known as smelling strips. Yeah. So what you could do now is just to take a piece of blotter, okay, and then insert it into your dry beaker, your bottle, your dry amber bottle.
So I use
and then when you're ready.
So I use the dry bottle to dip it into the dry. The dry.
Yeah, just use the. That's right. Then the moment you have it out already, okay, I advise you to take it away from your face, of course, and then you just fan it, okay, so that the water doesn't get onto your face and everything.
Sure.
Okay, so before you smell the dry, okay, I want you to, while you're doing the action, I'll just continue talking now. So, okay, so basically, when you are smelling the dry and the meat, you will actually smell a huge chunk of it as alcohol content. So this is just a pre-warning. It's actually very, very normal because the alcohol molecules are actually smaller than the meat and the dry molecule at this point in time, which means that these are the first things that actually hit to your brain. Okay, your brain will be able to register the alcohol smell a lot stronger and a lot faster as compared to the rest of the ingredients. Okay, having said that, right, if you're ready, okay, Chila, could you just smell the blotter? Okay, as you're smelling the blotter now, right, are you smelling the blotter now?
Yeah.
Okay,
The
because I
driver.
cannot see from the
Oh
screen.
no, that's sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. So say for example, now that you're smelling the blotter, right? I'll just list a couple of ingredients that's in there. So in the blotter from the dry, okay, now you should be able to smell. Maybe I'll just list 3 ingredients. Okay, we got cedar wood, we got cedar wood, as well as we've also got green tea in there.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
so
that's
just
interesting.
let you know as well, in each amber bottle that you have in front of you, top, mid, and dry, is actually a pre-concocted scent, which means that inside there is not just one raw ingredient. In fact, in each of this raw ingredient package, the top, mid, and dry, you actually got more than 100 ingredients that is already mixed in there.
Ah, I see.
So if you think about it, we're actually creating Lego blocks whereby our clients, yourself, can actually just, stack them up. And then we'll always make sure that this final bottle of perfume which you have is going to be fully functioning because it has got 300 over ingredients at the end of the creation.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so if you could do this for me, Chila, I need you to build an association between the dry, which is the smell that you just smell, and a memory that you have. Okay,
Memory.
having said that, yeah, it doesn't have to be memory per se. Okay, just for example, it can be a memory, it can be an object, it can be a location, it can be a color, or it can be like a fabricated feeling that you get. Okay, so let me give you an example. Some people, when they smell the dry, they say, oh, they associate this to whiskey. Don't know why, but they associate it to whiskey. Okay, or they can say, oh, when I smell this, it gives me a feeling that I'm walking into a forest.
Right.
You see, so that's an experience, that's a memory. Or some people say when they smell this, they remind themselves of when they go into the bamboo forest in Kyoto, Japan. Something like this, So in my association, right, the way I usually call this, generally, I call this the earthy tones. So, kind of like you have got that soil feeling, that kind of like light green moss on stone kind of image that I see in my head. So that's the kind of feeling that I get when I smell the dry. Okay. If you don't mind, because there's only one-to-one today, it will be good if you could actually share your association with
Yeah,
me.
definitely. I agree with the early first. It reminds me of the back of my head, like of like the botanic gardens, so walking into botanic gardens, smelling the flora and
Yeah.
fauna for the first time. Because like I mentioned, it's an
Yeah.
earthy tone. It's a woody, especially the woody undertones to
Yeah,
it.
good. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad that we are on the same frequency. Okay, so now we'll repeat the same process with the meat. I'll need you to uncap the meat amber bottle, okay, and then take out the plastic stopper, and again, take a new piece of blotter, okay, and I need you to dip it into the meat, okay, then again, fan it away from your face, and just take a whiff of it. Okay, so have you you're smelling the meat right now?
Yes,
Okay, so while you're smelling the meat, right, I'll again just list some of the ingredients. I'll just pick maybe 4 out of the 100 ingredients. In here we've got Bulgarian rose, we've got Japanese lavender. I've also got a tinge of honeysuckle.
Right.
Okay, to give it that very light sweetness, a bit of sticky feeling. Some people associate with that. And if you can detect this very special ingredient in there, it's actually yuzu. And again, I would like you to build an association with the meat beaker. If I may again inject my own personal summary to it,
Of course.
I actually call this the floral sweetness.
Yeah,
Just
I
for
agree. It's a
simplicity.
very floral scent.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're okay with it, we'll just move on to the top. I need you to
Sure.
uncap the top again, take out the plastic stopper, and again take out a fresh piece of water and just dip it into the amber bottle, and you can just fan it to get rid of the alcohol smell. And before you smell the top, I have to warn you, the top smell is actually very aggressive, meaning that it is actually of a smaller molecular compound as compared to the alcohol. So you will immediately smell the top fragrances ahead of the alcohol.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So just be very gentle. Take a very, very gentle whiff. If not, it might be a bit too much for some to. Yeah. So as you're smelling the top now again, I'll just list 2 or 3 ingredients so that to just give that whole overall feeling. In here we've got mandarin, we've got lemon
Ah,
peels, and we've also got some lime as well. So in here, right, what happens is it's a very citrusy scent. I'm sure you can agree with that. So with this, I actually call this the citrus freshness.
Mm.
It's just very straightforward.
Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting. It's definitely a fresh notes, but different from the meat. So whereas the meats are very floral, Here,
Yes, definitely. So now that you have gone through the top, mid, and dry, I'm sure you also have your own personal opinions and your own association with the top, mid, and dry pickle. This is really the time where we start to do the workshop proper.
right.
So I'll need you to pick up your bottle and just dismantle it and go down to uncap it and unscrew it. Along with the DIY pack, we have also given you 3 pipettes. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so for this pipette, just ensure that you have 1 pipette for the top, 1 pipette for the meat, and 1 pipette for the dry. Okay, this is because you don't want to use 1 pipette and you end up contaminating your actual beakers lah.
Of course.
Okay, so also for you to know, this workshop set that we have given is actually enough for our clients to actually do up to 2.5 workshop worth of materials.
Right.
That's also because we must cater for, say, for example, if a client says, I want it to be 100% meat, that's also part of creating a scent that they like. So we must make sure that we actually have enough to go around lah. So each of the 10 ml, the amber bottles are actually filled 10 ml.
Right.
Okay, so you got 10, 10, 10, and actually the glass bottle that you hold at the end of the day is also 10 ml. So in theory, you should be able to do 3 full bottles lah. But of course, based on what we like and how we top up, I think on usual estimation, it's good to go for 2 rounds before they run out of a particular ingredient.
Alright. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so with that, I will need you to take the pipette, right? And if you look at the pipette very closely, there's actually a markers on it, marking it 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and then 3. Okay, at this point in time, I also want to share with you that these markers are not strict standard. It means that whenever you take something, it doesn't have to be in increments of 0.5. It can be like, I'm going to add 2 drops of top. I'm going to add like 0.25 or something, that kind of thing. The markers are just there in case you want something more precise, something for you to visually measure. But yeah, you can do anything you want.
Right.
Also, at this point in time, I would like to let you know that by adding 2 drops of top, 2 drops, you will actually change the whole chemistry of the perfume. I can guarantee you that. So when you make the perfume, it's really very sensitive. It's really very volatile. So that's when the huge variations will come in. So to start us off, right, what I will encourage you to do is to take 1 ml of top, meat, and dry in any sequence, okay,
Right.
and you put it into the glass beaker. Yeah.
So
again, while you are doing, yeah.
So that feels like more of a solid base for us to customize.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Of course, Qile, because you are very, well established in this area, right? You kind of grasp the idea really quickly. So usually at this point in time, that's also whereby I will share with the customers. Look, that's why we need is to create the base, to create the foundation, literally to do the step 1 to make things work, And not just that. I think it's also the fact that if you remember, we actually talk about this perfume having more than 300 ingredients in there. So by doing this process, we also ensure that whatever is the combination and concentration at the end of this workshop, right? The customer actually has got all 363 ingredients in there.
I see.
Yeah, and also for the fact that hot, meat, and dry all have their different purposes and the reasons to exist in the fragrance, sort of establishment, right? If you remember, top is to lure people, intrigue people. Meat is for the consistency, and then dry is for the long lastingness. So you want to make sure that this perfume that our customers actually create actually ends up with these 3, working components to make it a fully working perfume at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, I think that's quite smart. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think very often people compare us to the rest of the workshop that's around here in Singapore. I don't think that one is better than the other. I will just say that this is actually just a different approach, a different philosophical way of doing it lah. Each company have their own ways and their reasons for conducting a workshop as such. So this is just our way of doing it. Of course, if the clients do agree with our standpoint, they are happy with the way we conduct it, then of course we'll be very happy with the end results as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think I added
Okay, so once you have added
1
everything, right,
ml
I'll
of it.
actually get you to cap back your glass beaker,
Okay.
and I'll need you to shake the bottle until you see bubbles.
Is there a particular reason for that? I'm sure you can explain.
Yes, there is. Yeah. So this actually to me there's one official reason and there's a second reason which is my personal reason.
Okay.
So my personal reason first, which is the unofficial one, is that I want to prove to people, or should I say I want to remind customers that perfume is actually not fragile.
Right.
Sometimes our clients do feel like, oh, I paid so much money for this, I must be very careful with the perfume, make sure it's always upright, then away from the sun, put in a cool place, like super protective over the perfume.
I see,
But
okay.
this is also the time I want to remind our customers that perfume is a liquid. It's okay to shake it around, to toss it around, so long as the bottle don't break. Okay, so that's one. The other reason why we want to see bubbles is the sign of bubbles actually proves that this solution is well mixed through. If it's not mixed well, right, the bubbles will not actually occur.
Oh, okay.
So the moment when there's bubbles, it means that the solution is well mixed. And in terms of evaluating scent, right, all the more we need the solution to be well mixed. Because if it's not well mixed, every time we evaluate our current creation, right, we are always tweaking a wrong thing to it, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
So I'll need you to uncap now, since that you have shake it, and you take a new piece of water and you just
Right.
dip it in. Okay, and again, fan before you smell. So now as you're smelling this recreation, right, I will also like to put forth this motion. Okay, you as you smell it, I think you're probably thinking that this is okay, not too bad, quite interesting,
Very
a little
floral.
different from very different from what I expected when I had my top notch, right? It's nice, but I probably will not use it now. I will not use it tomorrow. I definitely will not pay money for this. Okay, and the reason is because this current scent actually lacks a character. It lacks depth, and it lacks something that you like. Okay, so this is really where the workshop starts to be fun. Because if now that you're smelling it and you say, oh yeah man, this is not too bad, but it's lacking something, right? This is where we go back to our association to the top, mid, and dry, and you kind of identify where you want to move forward with that and what is lacking in there, and you put the appropriate amounts of top, mid, and dry to create the sensation whereby you start to like this scent more and more. So with that, just put in one ingredient, and once you're satisfied with that, okay, we'll cap it again, we'll shake it once more, and we'll evaluate it so that you know whether you're steering in the right direction.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Different
Yeah,
approach.
so think of this as every time you add something, right, it's supposed to walk one step closer towards your angle. Okay, that is the ideal situation. More often than not, you will take a few stumbling steps here and there. Like say, I put, wow, I really don't like this. This is not how I expect the chemical reaction to actually happen. Or like I put this already, I actually like the previous one more. So there will be stumbling steps along the way. You'll move forward and backward, but ultimately it's about taking steps forward towards your end goal.
Okay, so now I guess I'll add a bit more of the other two. Is there a usual concentration that everybody, that most people will add? So for example, maybe 40% dry, 40% mid, 20% top, that sort of thing. Or is it really to
To
each
be,
own?
I will say it's really to each their own. Very often than not, when they conduct during a group setting, right, someone will say there will always be one person who is not happy with the perfume. That's for sure. But the interesting thing is whenever they let someone else smell it, right, someone else will always say, I actually like yours more than mine. Are
Right.
you sure? So it's really very, very sensitive to each of our own. And the other thing is this doesn't occur so much over Zoom because I'm not there. When I'm physically there with the clients, very often than not, they will say, oh, you know what, I think this is really going south. Zach, can you just save my creation? This is my bottle. Can you, just do something nice to save my bottle? So it's not that I don't want to save the bottle, but we also got to bear in mind what I like might be totally off for the client. Yeah. So as much as I want to help by physically helping, I actually will have to take a very long process. I'll have to ask questions. I'll have to talk to them on very, very different type of topics to really try to understand their preferences, what they like, what they don't like, what they associate with the scent, then I can probably help to steer the creation a little closer to the end goal.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a really individualized process to their own
It
customized
is very, very
preferences.
individual. Yeah. I saw that you had a very interesting reaction when you smell your current creation. Would you like to talk to me a little about it?
Yeah, sure. So I added like I think about 2 ml of meat.
Yep.
So the resulting scent was definitely like it was more floral, definitely so.
Yep.
But as compared to the first time that we smelled it, when we just had 1 ml of each, it's a different type of it. It feels like there's more depth to the floral notes. I'm not quite sure
Yep.
how
Yeah.
to explain
Okay.
it,
So
but
if I'll to maybe just make a right guess lah, let's put it that way, because I don't smell the street, but just based on how often we do it and how often I smell it, I probably can just suggest is because whenever you put in a meat, right, it doesn't just increase the meat per se, because it's always about a synergy. So what happens now? You're smelling more is between the synergy of the meat and the dry,
right.
how the
That's
floral
interesting.
actually complements with the wood, so they actually both shine a little more, right?
Exactly.
Because if you think about it, just now you also did put in a sizable amount of dry, but it was pretty flat because there was no meat to carry it off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now that the meat comes in, the meat is actually carrying the bottom, the dry, and yet both of those scents are being elevated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So whereas I think around the first time around when just the combination of all three is a bit cloyingly sweet in a sense.
Yeah.
Here is actually with more depth, more texture to the scent, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah,
For sure. For sure.
very interesting to see how the scent morphs, even though basically we're using the same ingredients.
Yes. So I mean, just for curiosity's sake, right? If you want to just put in 2 drops of top, just for argument's sake, uh, you can do that, and you'll realize how 2 drops really change the whole bottle. Yeah.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it's a lot of trial and error.
It is a lot. So very often than not, if I actually find through experience, of course, then I realize that a certain participant is a bit overwhelmed by this whole thing, right? I actually will have to guide them a little more differently.
Oh, that's great. Sorry to break your train of thoughts, but that's interesting. Like you mentioned, I
Yeah.
added a couple of drops of top, and it does change the scent significantly.
Yeah, significantly, right? It's not like very slight, but it really just gives it a new dimension. In fact, now that you have added the top, although the top is just citrus freshness, right, you also do feel that certain notes of the floral scent do get
And they're
elevated
elevated, yes,
together with
exactly.
it. Yes, it's not the whole meat get elevated. It's just a certain portion of the meat gets elevated. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I think what I've been getting a lot from this workshop is how the different scents in each top meat and dry interacts with each other and how they complement and elevate each other instead of being distinct.
Yes.
So I
Yes,
think
that's right.
that is pretty interesting, I must say. Okay, so I think I'm about done. I think I filled up the bottle almost to 10 ml already. In fact, I'm on my
Yep.
last taste of smelling paper. So I think the end result is quite interesting. Definitely
Yeah.
rare. You mentioned this as like a step-by-step sort of
Yeah,
journey,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah, I can tell that
Yep.
from the previous step and compared to the previous step, there's a significant difference to it. It's like it's gaining more depth along the way. Yeah, I think I'm done. I quite liked the scent.
Alright.
It's of course
Awesome.
it's still okay. Let me see. Let me show you. Okay, I apologize for the technical difficulties, but
Hey, no worries, man.
yeah,
Hey,
it's
nice.
about there. Yeah, so I think to just describe the scent, I know of course you can't smell it. But just describe the scent. There's definitely I think it's a good mix of your woody notes I think from the dry as well as the floral notes and from the meat. But just a touch of the citrusy notes from the top so that it's a bit refreshing. But of course as the
Yeah.
day goes on, once the top note fades then you still have a very floral, very fresh notes but with the woody undertones more beyond manliness I suppose. So yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting. Oh, there was a war.
Yeah. because as expected from editor, like the way you say, wow, very nice to follow. The explanation is always there. So I was like, wow, very impressed. I was like, wow, good. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
But yeah, but I think something that I like is that actually I'm not quite sure. I don't know if it's a Zoom thing or it's a in-person thing. So like you mentioned, the bottles that you send, hot me and dry bottles. They can technically you can make 3 bottles, like 3 full bottles of it, right? So if someone were to go to your Bugis Junction workshop, do they get to keep the 3 bottles?
No, because they take it from the beakers, you see.
So I don't know if you can see. So these 3 bottles,
Yeah.
this they are sent over. So that is a privilege only for the
Yes,
online.
that's right. That's right.
Because I was
Yeah.
going to say, I
So
think.
the advan-
Because I was
yeah.
going to say, I think it's
Sorry,
interesting.
you were saying?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. What is interesting is, let's say even if I don't like this thing I created, at least I still have some leftovers that maybe after I use finish, I can go try,
Yes.
customize, that sort of thing. So it's sort of like 2 perfume workshops for the price of
Yes,
1.
exactly. So in fact, right,
In
I
a way.
also say this as I mentioned earlier that if let's say someone has something that they really like at 7 ml, they stop straight away. Okay, so I think when it's a home workshop, it's much easier for them to accept that notion because they will be thinking, oh, once I finish this 7, I can try again using
Exactly.
this knowledge and these procedures. But when they are at a physical shop, right, that's it, that's the end because once they leave the shop, they don't get the materials to bring home. So I think it's a somewhat of a trade-off. I'm not saying that we are trying to make the workshop more special. I think it's just more for the fact that we must make sure that our clients have got enough materials to do what they want. So I cannot say I just give 5 ml, 5 ml, 5 ml.
Right.
It's not fair. Someone very often than not, someone will want 95% of the bottle filled with a particular ingredient.
Yeah. No, I guess that will be all. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Yeah.
No worries.
I'm
Thanks
sure
for your
I'm
time
sure
also,
I enjoy
Tia.
the perfume.